G'day, I'm Jessica Lee Potgieter, student number 193343. This is my MFP402, assignment 1, part B. I just want to share my screen with you. Okay, so the first question that we were asked is why or what are our views on physical manipulatives for South African learners in the 21st century? Manipulatives are extremely beneficial in understanding mathematical concepts, specifically things like sorting, ordering, distinguishing patterns, recognizing shapes, measurement, understanding and recognizing relationships, symmetry, and spatial memory. It also helps them to communicate mathematical ideas. It also helps children, or at least the concepts, moving from concepts of a concrete to representational to abstract. It helps children to understand or better interpret maths instead of having a theoretical understanding. Seeing, touching, and learning something helps them to understand it better as well as remember it better. In South Africa, we cannot afford to buy as many manipulatives as we would like. We have a lot of poverty in SA, but we can create many, but that'll be covered on my next slide. What are my views on virtual manipulatives? Well, virtual manipulatives are things like calculators, computers, any tablet or device, online digital games, anything that is really internet-based or technologically based. They are just as beneficial as concrete manipulatives. And what is nice about it is if you have one device, you can utilize it for many different kinds of manipulatives. There are thousands and thousands of different programs you can download. So in essence, a child would only need one. But again, some of the challenges we face as South Africa is funding. So we cannot really afford for, especially in our rural schools, to supply children with those tablets, and they cannot afford to buy them. We are also faced with something like load shedding, which is a really big deal in South Africa. Those tablets won't be able to be kept online with the constant blackouts. They won't be charged up enough. Theft in South Africa is a reality. And also with the amount of poverty that we have, especially in our rural areas, it will take the children some time to adjust to a more virtual manipulative. What can I as a teacher do to assist learners and improve the use of physical and virtual manipulatives? Well, we can teach them to be more interactive with things. So get the kids involved in more hands-on activities so that they have a better understanding of how things work. Giving a child a 3D cube as opposed to drawing a 3D cube is very beneficial because they can understand it better, see what it looks like from different angles, etc. We can help kids understand how to solve better. Problem-solving skills can be improved with it. They often understand things differently when they're met with an approach with many different kinds of solutions. So manipulatives give children the freedom to explore that. And as a teacher, I would like to encourage that sort of problem-solving skills. We need to build confidence in the math lesson. So as a teacher, you have to try to boost children, make them understand or help them to self-correct themselves. That's the nice thing with manipulatives. If a child is trying to fit a 3D block into a certain space or take two triangles and make it a 3D block, the concrete object itself will help them to figure it out themselves. And I mean, to get them going on manipulatives, you need to make it fun. And engage them so that children feel like it is not just work, it is fun to learn how to use manipulatives. Lastly, with the South African climate and the poverty that we face, as South African teachers, we need to become a little bit more creative. So on this last slide are a couple of examples of how we can get around physical manipulative funding issues. So on the first slide there, we see a piece of cardboard with little pegs in. Those are the ones that you put in the peg up board, and the kids can use those. You can make Play-Doh, which is inexpensive and easy to use to teach fractions, using old Lego blocks as stackables, or using a paper plate and teaching fractions by cutting it in half, quarter, an eighth. Data capture or data analysis with the charts. You can use buttons, you can use Smarties or whatever, also give them a very good idea of things. Using cards to teach them symbols or the difference between odds and evens. You can make paper dice, but it must be a 3D one. Or even trying to teach children about angles using spaghetti, which I thought was quite interesting. So yeah, that is my view on manipulatives in South Africa. I think there's a lot of potential, but not a lot of funding. Thank you.